Okay, well, I'm just gonna put up the proposed conditions,
Okay,
what
so
it'll look like when we're through. Just a picture.
cool.
Okay.
Meredith, I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Wouldn't be public input if you can't hear us.
Exactly.
Hey, Danny,
Yeah.
did you see the message from Mr. Montalban?
Yeah. I was gonna get in there and add them.
Okay.
Hey,
Good
Danny.
afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon. It's John with NMDOT.
Hey, John.
Hey, John. This is Judah.
Thank you guys for joining.
All right. Hey, John, are we waiting on a lot of people?
It looks like there's a few more to join, but it's 1 o'clock. I don't know whenever Beth is ready to start.
Okay. I may have to leave
Okay.
in a little bit.
Yeah, and it's, we just give everybody a couple of more minutes to make sure we get as
Right.
good of attendance.
Yeah. Hi, it's Maria. I got a couple
That's
of
no
people
problem.
who asked for to join, so you got some people that are still coming in.
Awesome.
I don't know if anybody did the standard intro, but if everybody could mute their phones or their computers unless you need to speak so that you don't talk on top of each other, please.
Yeah, he's on there too. I'll wait till the time.
It's like everybody's.
Beth, I think we're ready.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I would like to welcome everybody to this public meeting. The purpose of the meeting is basically to present the proposed improvements to National Avenue, Bridge Street, and Plaza Park, and to make sure that everybody's aware of the project, what potential impacts there may be during construction, and what we're going to end up with when we get through. We started earlier this year developing a scoping report for the project. We presented a public meeting, I believe it was back in April, to present the results of the scoping report to the city. And we got proceeded then to develop, we're at the 60% plan stage. And we are conducting a second public meeting to present the plans as they are today, and so to make sure that we've addressed everybody's concerns and issues. The project scope, when we started out, we had Bridge Street, North and South Gonzales, Hot Springs, South Pacific, and Plaza Street and Plaza Park. And the proposed improvements consist of either reconstructing the existing street or doing a mill and overlay to improve the street itself. We're going to make a few ADA changes, and you would see that basically in the median areas. And then to restripe the plaza area itself to provide additional parking spaces if we could. So currently your existing conditions are similar to this. We've got 2 crosswalks here. We've got 4 crosswalks in this area with a very small median. We have a large median here with 2 crosswalks, and then once again 2 other medians over here. This one doesn't serve as a crosswalk, so you can see you have a lot.
How do we get to see what you're showing us?
I'm presenting my screen. If you are on the internet, you should be able to see my screen.
All I see is a cartoon face.
Okay, well, let me stop sharing and resharing and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, because I can see the plans. It's the does anybody else have problems seeing the plans? It was in the center of the screen. I don't know if Meredith, you have an option to.
I'm looking at all my.
Beth, I can see the. Beth, this is Alan. I can see the plans just fine. I think Meredith, you have to log in through the Google Meet link.
And or Meredith, try the right upper corner. There's some captions up there that you can hit and get the screen.
I can see the map too, but I can't see exactly what you're pointing to when you say here and here.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how to address that issue.
Well, I see a little cursor moving around now.
Okay, that's basically all it is the cursor on my computer screen. So.
Beth Schatz, does National Avenue mean Bridge Street?
Yes.
National Bridge, it says Bridge Street on the right of the plaza though, in the picture.
Correct, it says Bridge Street, and at another point it's National Avenue. So it's kind of has 2 names when you look at a map on it.
Further east is National, and as you get to the bridge, it becomes Bridge Street.
It's Bridge Street, and then it'll turn back to West National when you get on the west side of the plaza.
We're very well aware of that, but I just wanted to make sure that the Bridge Street itself would be included in this plan.
Yes, ma'am. We're starting down at 12th and National with our reconstruction.
Okay.
And then it's coming up to the plaza.
Okay, the map doesn't show that. Thank you.
No, ma'am, that's in the plan and profiles, or in the plan set itself.
Sarah, I just saw something pop up that says Sarah Matthews is presenting. I don't know if something switched between Beth and Sarah.
I have a question, guys. I'm just trying to see this screen. Can anyone tell me how I can see the screen? Because I can't see the map.
You and me both.
Okay, hang on. I have a button that says resume your presentation. So let me click that and see if the screen comes back up for everybody.
I think if you just tap on where your own image, it'll go back to the main screen.
There it is. There it is. I can see your screen now.
Good. I can see it as well.
So back to the scope, we're just basically reconstructing the streets or milling and overlaying, and the construction itself is not going to be anything but the actual street. We're going from inside the curb and gutter to inside the curb and gutter. We will do some curb replacements where they're damaged, but the scope is not to remove any of the curb and gutter or any of the sidewalk work except what little bit we do when we come to changing one of the medians or in conjunction with the ADA ramps. Somebody have a question?
I do. This is Bonnie Bolton. I do the soup kitchen out of the parish hall.
Yes, ma'am.
The southeast corner where Ridge Street comes onto the plaza is very dangerous because people come around it very fast. And 2 evenings a week, I have people crossing that street regularly with the food that they're taking back to their homes. So is there anything that can be done to slow down that traffic when you're doing this repaving? I understand you can't move the crossings because of the ramps, from what I can tell from the pictures.
Well, this is the existing conditions. We've gone back in there. When we get through, this median area here is going to be enlarged, so it's going to narrow down the street itself a little bit, which should help slow down people because you don't have quite as wide a turn to make. And then we'll put in the crosswalk so that they can land in the median and have a safe space while they wait for traffic to clear. So that's what would be going on down here at the intersection with Bridge Street and Plaza.
I don't think that will help, but I appreciate your optimism. And I hope it doesn't take someone being injured before there are other changes made.
Yeah, Beth, this is Alan. If I could speak to that. Because my room in the plaza overlooks the park, and I can tell you people speed around the plaza at all hours, particularly late at night, early in the morning, extremely excessive speed. And I wonder if it's possible to turn any of those crosswalks into raised elevation speed bumps, something like that. Just 1 or 2 speed bumps around the plaza would solve that problem.
Thank you, Alan.
I would like to also add to this. On Bridge Street, sometimes late at night, there's straight up street racing, like over 60 miles an hour down Bridge Street, and it's a matter of time till someone gets killed. There's no excuse just because of the high level of pedestrian traffic and the fact that people are going to be using, we need to utilize our outdoor space much better considering COVID-19. We really need to make it pedestrian friendly, and until we add speed bumps, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, this is Bill Taylor. And I think that the mayor's also expressed concern about including speed bumps in the, or raised pedestrian crossways, as Alan suggested, because of the speeding issues.
Okay, and that would not be a problem to go ahead and include some raised speed humps. There are certain criteria that need to be addressed. And then we'll have to look into it to make sure we can address those. But if we did, I would say would probably be mid-block here at Plaza and over here at the mid-block locations.
This is John with DOT.
Yes.
So we do going back and talking about ADA, anywhere that ADA is disturbed from point A to point B, it's gonna have to, anywhere you start point A of ADA, it's gonna have to be completed in point B. It can't just be one section. It's gonna have to go throughout the project. Also, and talking about speed bumps, the city will have to do a study in order to get that allowed on city streets.
Can speed bumps go in front of the ADA?
No.
Can they go after the ADA crosswalks?
I'll send the criteria for speed bumps and ADA compliance to Danny, and then we could share them with everybody as well. Because what we do is we'll meet with them and we'll do a pre and post for all ADA, so that way everything matches up and everything is allowable.
Will it take a lawsuit from an injury or a death before something can be done?
As I said, I'll share the information with Danny, and then the city could answer to that.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and see what we can do to add into the plans.
John, this is Councilman Montoya. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you, Mr. Montoya?
Very good, thank you. My concern had been the crosswalks right there before the bridge on the River Walk, and I had kind of requested that we install some of those crosswalks like the way they have at the range up in Bernalillo, where there's lighting around the sign whenever anybody's on the side of the crosswalk that's going to cross the street, to make the traveling public more aware of somebody in there to cross the street. Is that possible with this project in different areas?
Mr. Montoya, that is one of we have a bid alternate out there, and that's a bid alternate is to light crosswalk signs.
Thank you.
The city has included that.
It's also possible with the grant that we gave them for this project to go forward. It's a safety.
Thank you very much.
So the additional scope of work that we'll be looking at with the project, aside from doing the street work, is there will be some utility replacements. We're replacing some water lines, adding a few little bit of water lines, and doing some sewer work as well. And the city will be replacing gas lines and mains throughout the area. Then there'll be a few little electrical upgrades. And what that consists of at this point is to run ductwork under the cross streets so that the city can run some electrical lines, and we'll be installing new electrical boxes around the plaza. So when you have events, there's a easier access to electricity.
Beth, this is Cindy Collins.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. There are 4 islands that are planted around the Plaza Park.
Yes, ma'am.
There's affluent water in the Plaza Park. Can you extend those lines so that we can water the islands and maintain the landscaping?
We are in discussion with the city to make that happen, ma'am.
And there is one median that Las Vegas First and business owners are very concerned about. It's the median by Plaza Drugs at the top of Bridge Street.
Yes, ma'am.
We're installing a sign. Have you been told about that?
In this median right here?
I can't, yes.
Yes, Plaza Drugs. And yes, ma'am, I'm aware that you're in discussions with the city about doing some stuff in that median. Yes, ma'am.
Great. So there's a concrete foundation that we'll be pouring, and we need to coordinate our work during your construction.
Okay.
So I'll just keep in contact with Bill Hendrickson and Bill Taylor on that.
Okay.
Are you with Stantec? Who is Beth Schatz?
Beth Schatz I'm the project manager and one of the engineers on the project. I'm with Stantec.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Meredith Britt, and will this project be done in sections, or will everything be dug up at once? And how long will it be that way?
Oh, number one, it will not be done all at once. It will be sequenced to minimize the impact to the plaza area and the businesses and the people who use it. They won't go in, and we just won't go in and tear everything up and put it back together. This will be sequenced to minimize the impacts.
Ma'am, I would like to add something. There's something to consider. I know this project was planned before COVID-19. Many of the businesses on Bridge Street, especially restaurants, if this project goes into the spring and basically provides issues where we can't have outdoor dining. It could be a death sentence to many businesses. I understand, as someone who owns a property on Bridge Street, how crucial this road work is, and we have to do it sometime. But the timeline is really crucial. It would definitely probably best to be doing it during the winter, which is going to be our projected slowest season in terms of tourism and travel. Because if it cuts into the spring, it could literally put some businesses out of business, as we've seen issues with the art project in Albuquerque. And then these businesses were then hit by COVID, and it was a death sentence.
Right. And we understand the impacts. Currently, we've got final plans to wrap up, and provided there's not major changes to anything that we've progressed to this point, it is now the end of October. I would anticipate we could have final plans completed by January, and then it would be up to the city to instruct us when we're ready to advertise and go to bid. So we will work with the city to minimize the impact to the businesses once again, and make sure that we're not out there in the middle of the high tourist season, would be my take on it. Do you agree with that, Maria?
How long does it take to get the bids back and decided upon?
Normally the bidding process, we would advertise for bids. I usually like to leave it out there for about 30 days, so we make sure that we get enough responsive bidders. Then it would take us another 30 days to open the bids and get everything in line and get the contract awarded. So you're looking at 45 to 60 days to get a bid, to get a contract awarded for the construction part once we advertise for bid.
And absolutely, once we're able to get a contractor, then we can work on the schedule to make sure it's the least impactful to the businesses in the area.
This is Art Garcia. I'm also an engineer with Stantec on this project, and I understand completely Ms. Matthews' concern about the businesses, and having lived in Albuquerque through the art project, can understand the problems that the construction work takes. But that said, working through winter raises a number of questions with the ability to pour concrete in cold weather, particularly lay asphalt. This is primarily a pavement rehab job. And so there's that issue that's kind of working against the concerns of not doing this project during the summer. And so I think we need to have discussion about that and try and figure out what the best solution is. We want to do everything we can to support the businesses, while also keeping in mind that providing the contractor with difficult conditions is going to raise the cost of the project, and we are already at the budget. Actually, we're a bit over. We can talk about that more if you want. So I just wanted to add that in. It is a concern. It's a concern for us, but just saying flat out we're going to work in the winter may not be the best solution overall. We need to have more discussion about this.
Sir, can I ask you a question? Can you tell us the optimal temperatures for laying asphalt and curing concrete?
Yeah, we need to be 40, depending on the spec you use, and John would be able to help me, but 40 degrees and temperature rising. So you have those days in the winter, but what happens is you have less production time during the day, and so you can't move as efficiently through during the winter months as you would during the summer.
Would you say that accurately it's unlikely that this project will be able to get underway due to temperatures until the spring or summer?
Well, it won't get underway until the spring at the earliest, just because of scheduling. We have to complete the design and go out to bid and get a contract in place. That's as Beth said, at best right now, about a 4 or 5 month process. So if that all goes according to plan, it would start sometime in the spring, although it doesn't have to. I mean, we can set the start date whenever we want and do the bids whenever we want once the plans are done. So that's all, open to discussion.
How long is the project going to take?
Wouldn't laying the asphalt be the final stage? And how long will the project take if it started next winter and ended when it was warm enough?
Yes, that is correct. Laying the asphalt is one of the final things. The striping is actually the final thing, but that doesn't take long. Although some of that requires temperature, has temperature requirements as well. How long the project it would take, we don't have that yet. We're looking at probably somewhere in the ballpark of 5 months to 6 months at the most. But it depends on the final scope of work. We're going to do an analysis of that during the final design and come up with the amount of time that the contractor is going to be allowed. We can reduce that. Whenever you do something like that, again, it kind of ties the contractor's hands and then the price goes up. So, those are things we need to look at and discuss.
What are the stages? What are these, the various segments that it's going to be done in? Is it like a fourth of Bridge Street and then another fourth of Bridge Street and then on up? Or how is that going to be done?
So we have two types of construction that's going on. One is going to be complete rehabilitation. In other words, removal of all of the asphalt and base course and then repave that with completely new pavement. For example, on Camino de las Escuelas, which you see there, that's going to happen there. And so for that portion of the work, we would close, generally speaking, we would close the street for the time that they're doing that and makes it go quicker. On Bridge Street, from let's say 12th Street up to the plaza, up the high end of there, the plaza, we would do that in halves. That's simply a mill and overlay section, and so we would have them mill out. We would move traffic over to one side and mill and overlay half, move it over to the other side and do the other half. And that generally goes pretty quickly. I would imagine once they get it all together, that would be 4 or 5 days at the most to get that all done. They do that kind of work all the time, and it usually moves pretty quick. So in the plaza area, kind of the same thing. It's a mill and overlay, although there's some utility work going in there, and that needs to go first. So that takes some time. We would not close any of those roads. Leave it right there, Beth. We would not close any of the roads subject to mill and overlay completely. They would be done in halves. The dark, if you can see the picture, the dark shaded ones, which are north and south, South Pacific, North, let's see, what is that? Hot Springs and North Gonzales. Those are slated for complete reconstruction. So we would probably close those completely during the short time that they were under reconstruction.
Can you define the short time?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, but there will still be access on one single side of the road during that time?
Okay, where are we talking about now? Just so
anywhere on the whole plaza. I'm sorry, I missed whatever you said.
Okay, so on the plaza, yeah, so again, they would do half of that at a time, and that would probably be a week, and then the other half another week. Might be a little more, depending on the contractor, how good they are and how quickly they can get in.
If it takes a week, why will it take 5 months?
There's a lot of work that has to be going on before we even get to the point of cold milling and overlaying. There's utility work. There are all the curb ramps that need to be done. We have something on the neighborhood of 40 curb ramps. I'm not sure that all of those need to be redone, but a lot of them will. Some sidewalks and some island work, et cetera, that needs to be done. So there's a lot of prep work before we can even get to the asphalt. Another thing to consider is that those few streets that are going to be closed, the side streets, we would not close those at the same time that we're doing the mill and overlay. That's just a lot of convenience. I think somebody mentioned a little while ago, is the whole thing going to be closed? And we don't want to do that. We want to do it in sections. And so doing it in sections kind of extends the time of the project.
Well, you said something took a week, but then you said there were many other stages. So,
well, we're talking about the paving to cold mill.
We want to know about the whole thing, like one side of half of the street around the plaza. How long will that one part be out of function? A week is not the case.
No, because there's other work involved. So you're asking me to give you a number on something that depends on the contractor's schedule, and I can't do that, but I can tell you for pieces of it, how long it will take, and then, but overall, the project will take probably 5 or 6 months.
Okay.
We're not going to close. We're not going to close half of the plaza for a month or 2 months just to get the work done. I don't believe. Again, it depends on the contractor's schedule. But just for the paving part, it shouldn't take that long. A week for each side, let's say.
Okay, you say that both Hot Springs and North Gonzales would be out. How far north are you going to be working the electric and water and everything?
The water would be going up to Valencia. The electric is not involved in North Gonzales at all. It's just in the plaza.
Okay.
I have a quick question. This is sort of related to what Alan and Sarah brought up. I just want to point out, I brought this up to Bill Hendrickson, but I just want to point out that the 4 corners of the plaza, 3 of them have one rule for yielding and one of them has a different rule for yielding, so that they should be conformed. And unfortunately, the corner that does not conform is the worst corner, because when you go up Bridge Street, make a right, that first corner right in front of Mayor Projects, the person on the circle has a right of way, but on all the other 3 corners, the person entering the plaza has the right of way. So, and I think it's not confusing if you've lived here for a long time or your whole life, but for newcomers, I've seen a lot of near accidents right in front of Mayor Projects. So that's the northeast corner. We need that's just a simple sign change. I know it doesn't have anything to do with pavement, but it should be taken into account because it's dangerous.
We will look at that and make the change like you suggested. I think that's a good idea.
Beth, Councilman Montoya here. I'm not sure if you all are aware, but our PD chief of police is in the plans of doing away with those 6 parking spots in front of the police department. You all aware of that?
Yes, sir. If you'll look at the proposed, if you can see the screen, yeah, we talked about that at our 60%. We took out these parking spaces and there's discussion about landscaping the area or something like that. So yes, these parking spaces will go away.
All righty, because I'm on the phone and I can't see that. It's real small print on the phone. But either way, going back to the electrical issue we were talking about earlier, to my understanding, and what I recall when I was a young child, there used to be an alleyway between the Plaza Hotel and La Casa de Musica, somewhere there. And they closed it down. And to my understanding, apparently there's still the meter boxes, the transformers to the electricity to the plaza when they do have the 4th of July and other events. And those meters or those boxes are inside the Plaza Hotel. Is that true or no?
That I have no knowledge of that, Mr. Montoya.
Okay.
I think Alan Alfeld can speak to that, but yes.
Yeah, they're inside there, Sarah.
Yeah, so Stephen can tell you more about it. Stephen's the architect that works with Alan, who owns the Plaza Hotel. But yes, all of the city's utilities, from what I understand, and again, Stephen can clarify which utilities are only accessible from inside the plaza on the other side of the bar wall.
Yeah, the transformers on the north side of the building and all the wall packs with the meters are inside, right next to the bar, just east of the bar in the Plaza Hotel itself.
Well, are those going to be relocated? Or shouldn't they be relocated? Should I ask?
Alan, you're on mute still.
On this project, they will be relocated.
I can speak to that, Councilmember Montoya. When I bought the plaza, yes, those were within the property, and the city didn't want to pay to remove them, so we gave the city an easement to keep them there.
Okay. But they're not going to be removed now with this project.
Well, it would be great for us if they were, but it's not necessary.
How is the parking going to change around the plaza?
Okay, on the existing conditions, Oh, can we get some people muted here? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
So maybe hit the microphone at the bottom.
Well, currently you have 100 parking spaces around the plaza itself, and they're all parallel parking spaces except for these 6 that were in front of the police department, which were head in. So what we've done is, if you look at the proposed conditions, we left parallel parking around the plaza itself on the inside. We left it on this side of the plaza in front of the parish hall and Plaza Drugs. And then we also added or left the parallel parking over here in front of Plaza Antiques and the El Zocalo Gallery. And then we're going to, we had started with back end parking and the city and we've got a request where we're probably going to pull these to make them head in parking spots now. But a net gain of 9 parking spaces around the plaza. You started out with approximately 100 and now we'll have 109.
Say, just to add, those 6 spaces in front of the police department have been taken out. They're going to put a curb in there and they've already told us not to park there.
Yes, those are going away. Wow. So even losing the 6 in front of the police department, we still picked up 9.
Why would those spaces go away? They're never used by the police department. This is Andy from Plaza Antiques.
Hi, that's the city. Mr. Montoya or Maria, one of you guys, can you answer the why we're taking those out? Because that we're doing as the city requests us to do, and they asked us to take the parking out.
And the police chief requested those removed. I don't know if Councilor Montoya has any more information, but the police chief requested those to be removed, and they've already been removed.
Yes, they have, and they're barricaded actually for the present time, but there will be some construction going on there. And basically it's for safety purposes for the police station itself and all the officers that are in that building.
They never use that.
You know, they don't use that, and they should put public bathrooms in there.
And in addition, those parking slots, if you actually follow the path of the roadway, those slots were actually in the way of the roadway. They projected out too far.
Well, I've been next door for 25 years and I've never seen any problem.
They're not getting any better as far as attacking our safety officers or our departments, and it's a safety issue, and anybody can just run in through there at any time.
Okay.
I've met with the police chief. This is Bill Taylor. I've met with the chief of police on this, and just as Councilman Montoya said, it's a safety issue for the police department itself, but also for traffic coming in and out of there. We've had right there.
Ask about the speed bumps.
Has anyone considered putting speed bumps in on the plaza, in the crosswalks?
That's been discussed.
Yes, we've had that discussion. And
okay, we had a hard time getting on this.
And we were told it can't be done.
What?
Well, actually, the state's going to provide some guidelines and criteria, and then the city and we'll all get together and look at it and see what we can do. It's not that it can't be done. We just have to meet criteria and guidelines to put speed humps in.
Are the sidewalks going to stay as wide as they are now?
Yes, ma'am. We're not doing anything to the actual sidewalks themselves.
Why don't you walk upstairs?
Is there any talk of public bathrooms?
Not with this project, no, sir. This is strictly infrastructure improvement for road, water, and sewer.
Okay.
Can I ask a couple of related questions? This is Alan Appel. I know we're trying to get additional parking, and I think it's obvious that the biggest opportunity for parking that's in view of the plaza is adjacent to the police department in Frankie Antiques. There's a lot there that's been abandoned for decades, and I wonder if there's any discussion about that. virtually no business on the plaza meets parking code. And so the only way to get additional parking, it's great that we have some additional angled parking, that really helps. But the big opportunity is that vacant abandoned lot on South Pacific. I think that should be incorporated in the plans somehow. To Andy's point, there are no bathrooms, there are no public bathrooms around the plaza. So the reality is that for most events, they use the Plaza Hotel, which is kind of problematic. So as long as we're thinking about infrastructure and water and sewer, it'd be great if there was water and sewer to that property, or some way to build a public bathroom or something within the police department or on that lot. And then finally, if you look at the plans, you can see on the north side of the plaza at Plaza Hotel and Mayor projects, there's basically two, as at every corner, there's two roadways, and there doesn't need to be. And there's no additional parking in front of the plaza and Mayor on the corners because there's no space for it. Those corners could be easily reconfigured to allow expanded patios, which is what people are doing all over the planet to try to enliven the streetscape, because those sidewalks are not big enough for any kind of outdoor patio dining. And the need that we have now is only going to grow. We've been discussing that for over 5 years, going back 2 mayors. Everybody has been in favor of it, but it never shows up on the plans.
Yeah, this is Roy Montalban. I just want to say that I agree with Alan on this.
I'm sorry, I got kicked off. This is Sarah Matthews, but I wanted to bring up the point. I think we should all be realistic. This project needs to get done. It's something that will, and over long-term, benefit all the property owners and business owners in this historic district on Bridge Street and around the plaza. But we kind of have to reinvent how we do business. We really need to, especially because, let's be honest, with the temperatures that you lay asphalt and concrete at, this is going to hurt some of our small businesses. Specifically dining, no one wants to have like outdoor dining. It's going to be hard to have outdoor dining with paving and concrete being poured at the same time, but we can all work with each other. I think that it's really important to consider how we can incorporate plans for businesses to expand outdoor dining. There's currently also a rule that you cannot sell anything, no curbside sales on Bridge Street. That's another thing as a city we can maybe revisit. We need to talk about how we can safely promote business in Las Vegas, because if we lose our tourist industry, we're in big trouble. And we really need to make an effort to provide the opportunity for businesses who want to expand patios, things like that. This is the time to do it. And how can that be incorporated into this bigger picture?
Excuse me, I wanted to say a couple of things. I think that you can see, or everybody can see as we're talking, how important it is that we constantly communicate about this and we stay in touch about this. I think I didn't get a notice for this meeting. And I think we all, whoever's on this list that I see to my right, should get notices, and we should get notices within a good time frame. That's one thing. The other thing is that the DOT is doing a pedestrian safety action plan, and they have workshops coming up that would be about putting in the speed bumps. So, I mean, I'm going to go to those workshops and then we can talk about it, but it definitely needs to be on the table. We're on the plaza all the time and people speed constantly. So I'm going to bring the information back to this group about the safety action plan that DOT is doing so that we can talk about that at another meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
I agree with John. I wasn't invited to this meeting either.
okay.
Going back to what Sarah and Alan were touching on, Beth, is there a way we can kind of show a proposed idea we had for a patio concept dining around the plaza that I could share to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, you can share it with us. Absolutely.
They just click on the present button. Alan can help walk us through, but we shared this with the mayor last week. We had some precedent work of what Alan's experienced in Sedona and how they've kind of put this dining areas in the outside to kind of really bring in the realm of public space into the, the private uses of businesses in that public space to kind of really enrich and enliven the environment of the outdoor experience that is the plaza, which is our golden jewel in our town.
Right. But yeah, please, if you would, and then you can email it to Art and myself.
Yeah, could I just share my screen now in the meeting? Or do you mean to email it to you?
If nobody has any objections to it, I guess we can, yeah.
Any objections?
No objections.
Can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right, Alan, you want to speak to these? I'll show those first pictures and I'll show our plan.
Well, just the point is, this used to be a double roadway, and this is in Sedona, a city with 5 million tourists every year, and they've actually been decreasing roadways to increase patios because it makes it a more pedestrian-friendly space instead of a vehicle-driven space. So they remove parking spaces to get additional parking on the main roadway, additional patio spaces. And they've done it all over, not just in Sedona, but every city that tries to encourage tourism. So all of these spaces where there used to be double roadway widths, they're now single roadway widths with turnarounds because it makes it a much more livable space. It would be so easy to do at the Plaza if we think about the corners now. But my fear is,
Oh, Alan, you're on mute.
Yeah, somebody, you want? Oh, he's not.
Alan, we lost you there. Right, so if you can see this plan here on your screens, this is a preliminary idea we had of pushing out from the plaza and keeping city easement or walkways and sidewalks and mitigating some of the translation in the elevation by having a ramp there for ADA access continue on the sidewalk. But also we had an idea of elevated crosswalks where that would work as a speed bump that helps slow traffic around these corners and give, complete ADA access across these pathways from the plaza and around into these patio areas. And also we have here provisional now 8 motorcycle parking spaces, which, we don't have currently in any of these plans, that we do have a lot of bikers in town in some of our biggest events.
I don't see the harm.
Yeah, I mean, this would work with the back in diagonal parking as well. We just had this preliminary version of the forward end, but it would work with either version, And we could have a bigger radius on the turn to make that right-hand turn, which is infrequent anyway, because most people circulate around the plaza. And this would be a great way of creating a space outside, an inhabited space that could be used for dining and just the public at large to enjoy the plaza.
As much as turning long.
I have a question because I do a business on the plaza, and this is the first I've heard of this. And apparently I'm not the only business. Is there any urgency to doing this immediately? Are the utilities in that bad a shape it has to be done, or is it because the contract has been awarded and we need to do it?
Actually, you've got 2 years to spend the grant money. The city has 2 years, and part of the grant funding is for replacing the utilities on the plaza. Or in the areas that we've been indicated.
We've been
And then
talking about it for a year.
So let's take the time and do it right.
I agree.
Once
Thank
and
you.
do it right.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Alan, anything else you wanted to add before I turn this off?
no, I'm sorry. The point is, it's simple. Any place that's trying to increase the livability of the city is trying to think about expanding sidewalks, doing more perimeter parking. This is not a difficult change to the plan, and it's a huge improvement.
Is it, Alan, and Connor, with that design concept, what about Valencia Street becoming off Broadway, off Bridge, in terms of development and parking, so that you can even go further with this more pedestrian-friendly plaza, but take advantage of Valencia all the way to the city parking lot behind further east. But and some of that property may be available. I don't know, but it seems like we've got an opportunity both on Valencia and the other side to maybe start looking at parking and access so that we can really make the plaza a pedestrian space.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Frank. The overarching issue here is that we need to think comprehensively about the area. Because 100 parking spaces for events with a couple thousand people doesn't come anywhere remotely close to addressing the challenges. And if we want to have successful businesses up and down Bridge and around the plaza, we need to think holistically about parking and pedestrian use of those spaces.
I don't know why we've never thought about putting a multi-story parking garage in the police department parking lot. That's when you get bathrooms. It makes a whole lot of sense to do that, to think about it.
Yes, Councilman Montoya, Beth, that I guess that parking lot that's empty next to the police station is privately owned by Bob Dalton, to my understanding. The old parachute factory, somebody should buy that and turn it into a parking lot. That'd be a good area for a parking lot.
Whoa.
And also, we got to remember that the old Santa Fe Trail goes right through Grand, off the interstate, down National, down Bridge Street, and it used to go all the way through Hot Springs Boulevard. And I don't think that the Santa Fe Trail people would entertain a motion to encroach into the Santa Fe Trail itself and to increase or enlarge the sidewalks in those areas. It's already tight enough as it is for delivery trucks and so forth, trying to make that curve to Hot Springs. So that might be a safety issue there, trying to extend it into the middle of the road. Much less out there.
So if I can add to this, I can actually, if you'll allow me to share my screen, you are not able to make a 90-degree turn from Plaza onto Hot Springs as it stands right now. And if you guys will allow me to share my screen, I can show you exactly the area that the councilman is talking about. Let me flip this around. So this is the area that we're talking about here that would potentially, and if this is supposed to function as a roundabout, it follows none of the traffic laws, as Mr. Montalban pointed out last time, just shortly ago. We have access where you can turn right here. No delivery trucks are making 90-degree turns anyways. It's impossible to do that with encroaching on the other lane. So it actually wouldn't be that much of a loss to get rid of it. And then we could actually operate with legal traffic laws. The way that the plaza is currently set up, many of the existing laws and roadways contradict current laws about traffic. So this is the exact area where we would eliminate a 90-degree turn.
Yeah, Councilmember Montoya, this is Alan. Actually, we had a traffic engineer look at that, and the proposal that we presented is considerably safer. It makes the turn much easier. And the sidewalks that the city has now in that area are woefully out of code.
Well, first time I've seen this design or this outlay, so I guess I'll have to take some more time on study. I don't have no problem with all the parallel parking, because that was, it used to be that way in 1920. So, and it accommodated a lot of, more parking. But when we're redirecting traffic, because the Santa Fe Trail, they're coming up to a 200-year anniversary this coming year, and a lot of people get on their cars and they travel that Santa Fe Trail from one end to the other. So I wouldn't want to impeach on that trail. That's just my my comment, my point of view. But I'll look more into it, the design, and read some more into it, see what's going on.
So this is Maria. Hold on, let me turn my camera on. Sorry about that. So one of the things that I think we might need to be clear on is what was the actual purpose of this funding? Because this is not the end. This is just the beginning. You know, there's some improvements that need to be made on roadways for overlays. There's some utilities that have to be replaced. And what Steven showed and Alan and what Sarah is talking about, those are definitely going to be some great improvements. I think we can make sure that we're building towards that. But I know we already have limited funding, and the design of this project for doing the roadways is already exceeding the funding that I believe we're scheduled to receive. So I think we definitely need to make sure we have all this information so we can build towards these future goals. But we also need to know what our limitations are right now.
And again, just to remind everybody, this is a very delicate funding. It's not given out every year, and it comes once in a long while. This is $1.6 million that's going to be pumped into this project. And I know that 95% of it is coming from the state and 5% from the city. We can't afford to risk any of it by closing down streets or adding other stuff to it. I mean, the plan and design has already been done according to what I see here. I know there's other issues that everybody has, but we're probably limited on the funding as it is, and we don't want to go lose it to another community or anything like that.
Pardon my naivete, but why would there not have been public meetings to see what was required by the business community before the grant was written for this? I mean, pardon my stupidity, but this is retrofitting. The people who live and work on the plaza know what needs to be done. And they should have had input into this grant, or however the monies were received or asked for in the first place. Doing this multiple times is just crazy making and does not need to be done.
John, could you by any chance talk to the purpose of the DOT funding for the city?
John isn't with us.
No, nobody did.
When I applied for this grant, I applied for reconstruction of the roadway and for safety of the pedestrians on the road. So basically, this grant is to help to improve the road.
Thank you, Danny.
Can I just chime in here for one moment? My name is Carla McWilliams, and I'm from the Historic Preservation Division. And I just wanted to add in that with the state's significant contribution here, historic preservation laws do apply. And I just want to make sure that we're clear on the process, that there does need to be consultation with our office about the project moving forward. And so I just want to make sure that's clear here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I can clarify that. We do have people on board for the project that will coordinate after we get these to final plans, is my understanding.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think, though, that Historic Preservation Division needs the information prior to final plans. Correct, Carla?
Well, the ideal scenario is that we're involved all along so that there aren't great impacts to the project that cause major changes to drawings that are already done and that kind of thing. So that's why both myself and I see my colleague Lynette Polari, she's here. Her name is Steve Thompson on her square. She's here, but as well. So we're here just to get involved in the project and here to help it along moving forward.
Right, and I know we've been reaching out and having some email conversation back and forth with you. I'd have to go back and check the email chains. So, and the last time I talked to Steve Townsend, is the guy who's on our team to do this.
Correct.
Yeah. And he indicated it would be closer to final when y'all would be more inclined to want to look at them. But we can coordinate that. I mean, the plans are up on the city's website. I can send them to you now if you want to start looking. It's not a problem.
Wonderful.
I would like to say, I understand that the funding is for repairing the roadways and improving safety of pedestrians. But I would, again, like to speak to and add to what Nancy Colillo has just said. We are the people who work here. We have to be really honest with every business owner and property owner on Bridge Street. This is happening in spring and summer after COVID winter. If you survive it, and everyone involved in this plan needs to talk to each individual business, and we need to see how we can use this as an opportunity, because we're going to do this once and we need to do it right. What's the point if every single business on Bridge Street doesn't make it out of this? You need to account for changes and modifications, and we need to have these discussions, or you're going to have a beautiful new road on Bridge Street with no businesses on it. And that's the reality of the situation many small businesses are in right now. So we do have to be part of this discussion and equation, and not just say, hey, we're having this construction done. These are the plans A, B, C, D, and we're not going to make changes or accommodate. And maybe these things should have happened prior, as during the grant writing process, et cetera, or prior to these initial plans. But especially because of the impact it's going to have on these businesses after a very brutal second wave of the virus throughout the winter, we have to make businesses and property owners part of the equation.
Since we still have 2 more years, how much of that time do we actually have to still talk before action has to start?
Hang on just a minute. Just a minute. Let me get the deadline on the funding here real quick. That one. Take me a minute to look it up. Okay, so the funding came through on November 13th of 2019, and that means it probably expires at the end of 2021, if not in June 30th. Okay, here we go. The funds have to be spent by June 30th of 2022, so we've got about 2 years.
We have about a year and a half, and we need about 6 months, 5 or 6 months for construction. So basically a year is the answer to the question, how long can we keep talking about this? We need to be done talking about it with design done in a year.
How many?
Can we have a separate meeting where we talk about these issues and come up with a path forward? Because I think what Alan's suggesting is great. I think the fact that Carla McWilliams is here and is talking about the historic preservation aspect, that's critical. But I don't know if we can do that today, but I do think we need to have another meeting. And as much as, you know, DOT or whoever would like us to go faster, we might not be able to go faster. And we do have a little more time than I thought we had.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
And just to be clear, this is Alan. We've been talking about this and had public input meetings about this going back two mayors. So I don't know.
This is the first public input meeting I have been known about, and our gallery was not even notified about this one.
That's my is. We've been partially told it was impossible. Speed bumps were told it's impossible. It is possible. It's a question of intention. Do we really want these things to work for the business owners and the residents of the city? It's not a highway project. It's a public transportation and improvement and safety project. And this is not a complicated conversation. You could have a real public input meeting, like a charrette, with all the business owners, invite everyone, make sure everybody shows up, look at all the options for things like patios and sidewalks and pedestrian access and speed bumps. It's not a long and complicated process. It's a question of intention. It's a question of whether we're going to be part of the plan, or instead the plan is just presented to us as a fait accompli.
And COVID has made it more complicated.
And COVID isn't going away quickly.
And I think that's why we need to especially use this time and this money wisely to make sure we're able to increase pedestrian traffic and make our streets safer, because outside activity and outside just outside activity in general is going to be the new way of business for the foreseeable future. And this is our opportunity to accommodate that.
And we could start this project next fall or winter so that it's being paved in the spring. And most of the work would be in the winter.
That is a possibility, yes. This is Art Garcia again.
Good.
What are the chances of getting some kind of dispensation on the time given the pandemic?
At this point in the time, that part would have to be a conversation with New Mexico DOT. I know on most grants you can get a 6 months extension on them, but that's about all that the state usually goes. So it might be a little bit different in this situation. But that would be a conversation to have with New Mexico DOT.
I would say have it.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit premature. I think, as Alan said, this doesn't have to be a complicated. We can pull together another meeting fairly quickly and finalize these plans and the satisfaction as much as possible.
I'm curious how people were notified of this meeting.
It was published on the city's website. It was published in the Optic on Friday. And I believe Danny went out and sent emails to everybody that he knew would be interested.
I think we should be talking to Las Vegas First, which is the membership organizations for the business, and be talking to Main Street, and we'll help you spread the word so it doesn't happen again in the future.
Michael?
Mr. Parenter, the Las Vegas Chamber Business First was contacted. They were very aware of the meeting.
And they publicized it. They published.
Although I have to say, Bill, I have to say that when Andrea sent out the announcement, there was no Zoom or Google Meet contact information or ID information in it. So I saw it, but I think a lot of people are basically saying that we weren't invited and we weren't provided with access information. I had to contact other people in order to get it.
And I would very much like to speak to that really quickly. Y'all have Danny's email contact. If you would send your contact information, which business you have and where it's at, it would be a great help to us. We've been in this situation, we've tried to go door to door and find out who we needed to contact, but we come up with businesses that don't answer and don't respond to our efforts to reach out. So if you would please provide all your contact information to Danny to forward to me. I don't know if my email address is on there. I can put it in the chat. That way we make sure we've got a mailing list that we can contact people who aren't getting contacted.
You know, the city of Las Vegas has all that information on their business license application. I would say cross-reference that information with addresses.
I don't know that I have access to that, ma'am.
But the city does.
I think Bill Taylor can get that for you.
And if you go to our business and we're closed because of COVID, you could leave a note.
I could go to all the businesses and leave flyers on the doors with the information. And then I did talk to a lot of the vendors that were actually open and let them know that we were having this input meeting.
We got no flyer.
I think we should just move forward. I mean, in the future, it just can't happen. Whatever happened that made it not work, we need just to change that. So we all need to get emails. I mean, it's great if it's on the city side or you stuck a flyer on a door, but just emails that tell us what's going on and when the next meeting is in advance of the meeting. And I'll help with that however I can.
Yeah.
Danny, maybe you could give us your email here so we can all reach out to you.
Okay, I'll get you guys. It's dgurule@lasvegasnm.gov. And the last name is Gurule.
Can you put it in the chat box, please?
Okay.
And it's on the city website, isn't it, Danny?
Yeah, it's on the city website if you get on the city website.
This is Virginia.
question. Yeah, it's on the website under PSAs. It's also under the meetings and minutes, and it has all the information. When you click on that in the website, it's also linked through that to the social media as well.
I wonder, this is Alan, since we have Main Street, people here from Main Street and Vegas First, and from the State Historic Preservation Office, they've all done charrettes design input processes. And I wonder if we couldn't just instead have them, have Main Street or Vegas First, organize just a public input thing, take it off of your hands, ideally have an engineer, have somebody from Stantec, somebody from the city there to answer questions and review the plans, but have Main Street or Historic Preservation Office do a public input process, just, a day long or a few hour long charrette or input. I've seen it done many, many times.
We'd be happy to do it. I mean, and we would do it with Las Vegas First.
Las Vegas First would be happy to do it.
Great.
This is Mary Chavez. I have a little question regarding the intersection of North Gonzales and Valencia. If you've driven over it, you've all had your cars shaken up quite a bit going over it. I have a question. Is there any chance that it is going to be worked on as part of this project?
It will be worked up to Valencia on North Gonzales.
But not including the intersection?
No, it ends on Valencia Street. So that goes for Hot Springs and for North Gonzales.
Okay. Would you mind driving over that and seeing if there's anything that could be done with a little bit of asphalt or something? It's probably ruined a whole lot of vehicles in this city, but it's, I think it's made of concrete, so it lasts a long, long time.
Will do.
Thank you.
I had one quick question. Sarah may have brought this up earlier. I joined the call about 10 minutes late, but does this work include, I know it involves some sidewalk work on the plaza. Does it also involve sidewalk work on Bridge Street? The sidewalks are kind of in bad shape on parts of Bridge, including in front of Sarah's buildings and my buildings.
They will, I think we're incorporating any of the sidewalks that need to be replaced. We're gonna go ahead and add that as well.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Otherwise, I'll be out there with a few bags of concrete and I'll probably do an ugly job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cindy, you're muted. Beth, do you have any objections to Main Street and Vegas First doing a public input process? Because they could probably organize that pretty quickly.
I have absolutely no objections to them organizing something. They'll probably be able to reach a lot more. So no, there's no issues with that.
Beth?
Yes.
Are included for electricity inside the Plaza Park and on Bridge Street.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. Could you say that again, please?
What improvements are included regarding electricity inside the Plaza Park and on Bridge Street?
The current instructions that we have with the city, we're adding duct work under a lot of the street crossings, and we're not going to tear up the street to do this. This will be directional boring to get them under the streets, except on the streets we're working at and they're open. So we're adding ducts so that they can run more lines. And then around the plaza itself, all the little existing electric boxes that they use to get electricity out of, they're all going to be replaced with new boxes.
Great, so we'll have more electricity opportunities on Bridge Street?
We're just replacing what's out there. So I don't know that would increase your opportunities. So what's out there? Yeah, go Art.
Let me clarify. So there's no electrical work at all on Bridge Street. The electrical conduits are being placed under the plaza loop for future electrical improvements, and we are for future wiring, I should say. And we are planning to put in new pull boxes where the electrical has better access for vendors and so forth during events. Again, that's just in the plaza. Nothing planned on Bridge Street.
So,
Thank you.
So can we talk about when community forum? It could happen in November. It could happen in January. So if you want to do it as soon as November, it could be like the second week of November, and it's going to be a virtual meeting. So that makes it easier in a sense.
I personally think that sooner is better. Let's have these discussions. Let's get this input. And it is still somewhat time sensitive. And I feel that sooner is probably better. And I think maybe 2 weeks is appropriate if we can start advertising now to reach out for public input.
It's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks. And that if we did it, I'll look at a calendar. We could do it the second week of November, which, we can pick a day. There's nothing. So it could be the 10th or 11th or 12th of November. Nobody's going out of town, and it's a virtual meeting, so it's easy to do. To organize. So what you want? I don't know which day. If we did it on the 10th, 11th, or 12th, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. People can tell me what day works for you the best.
How about Tuesday?
Tuesday's fine. At what time of day? Do we do it like when people aren't working, or can we do it at this time of day?
Earlier would be better. I have to start preparing for the soup kitchen at 2.
Okay, so why don't we say can it be like at 10 in the morning?
Fine with me.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Nancy, you frown.
I have.
Don, what do you need from the engineer and what do you need from the city?
Okay, we'll figure that out. And we have to make sure the tech is good and that we can share effectively and all that stuff. So I'll work on that part. So it'd be 10 o'clock on Tuesday, November the 10th.
Yeah, and I'd recommend we use Zoom instead of Google Meet because Google Meet does not work on everybody's computers or browsers.
We're getting Zoom today, so we can use our Zoom.
Yeah.
Good
Zoom
idea. Thank you.
We have Zoom also. We could use ours.
All right.
So, Michael, I think it's a good idea to have this meeting, but it needs to be well structured. Just having an open meeting.
Right.
We need to do it topic by topic.
And we need to think about who should run the meeting, which we can talk about.
It would also be good to email everybody the plans since people can't see them on their phones necessarily well. And then they could print them out and everybody could be looking at the same information.
The plans are available on the city's website. You should be able to go there and download them.
And
Right,
does
Danny?
do the plans include like the deadlines and all that sort of thing too, or timeframes?
No, ma'am, that's strictly the plans for the proposed improvements around the plaza and up Bridge and National Street.
Thank you.
And I think you can estimate what a non-professional can understand looking at those plans.
Well,
Who you
I mean, maybe the purpose of this meeting is to start with the plans, go through the plans carefully with somebody, so we understand the plans, and then we can talk about the ways we would like to maybe change the plans if we want to change them.
Excuse me, I downloaded the 27 pages of plans from the website and it crashed my computer, which is not brand new. And so maybe somebody could do a separate post of the basic plans that most people would want to see, and then some of the other details could be added verbally.
Like a condensed version of the plan, so we don't go through 27 pages.
Right, because 27 pages is a lot. It really freaked out.
That would take us all day.
Thank you.
Connor Reichert, you can do that, I think, right? And you could provide those to Michael at Main Street?
If you want to introduce another channel, it might be nice to have a single source for this, but I can help coordinate that with whomever.
Okay.
I don't think we need the engineering drawings. We need the functional layout.
Yeah. And something that we can work with and, you know, and draw on if we want.
Maria, where are the plans on the website? Under community development or under utilities?
You look under the PSA on the main page, on the home page, go to the bottom and it says PSA, and on there you should be able to see that it says Plaza project and the date.
Thank you, Danny.
No, you're welcome.
This should probably wait till the next meeting, but I would like to go back to the idea of utilities on Bridge Street. For 25 plus years, we've been told that that Bridge Street and the Riverwalk would be electrified so that particularly fiestas could be strung out into a larger area. So I think that's a topic for discussion at another time.
So, John, are you kind of taking a little bit of the lead on y'all's side of this with, you know, what topics we need to discuss? Because it sounds like we need a good review of the plans. We need to understand how much money we have and what the intent of the funding is, and then what the timeframes are, and look at all of these other ideas and how they could either be incorporated now or make them able to be incorporated in the future.
Yeah.
Is there, you know, one of the things about these meetings is, like the city manager said, we need to make sure it's well organized so we're not, you know, wasting anybody's time, but we're making progress, getting towards the point where we can expend the funds and make the plaza, you know, improve the plaza.
And also make it COVID, you know, it needs to be dealt with in terms of COVID. And I don't think that was in the original plans.
Right. And I think that's a great thing that we need to keep in our minds, also how we can do that, because it you know, I want to be realistic here. It may not be able to be done with these funds, but it may be able to be set up with what we're doing to make it so that we can move to that next step and be able to make it more COVID friendly. And you know, I don't want it to be COVID friendly because I don't want COVID anymore. I want it to be, you know, a business friendly.
We can also look for places to apply for some of that money.
Absolutely, you know, and some, you know, maybe this is going to be the beginning of, this is phase 1, and there's going to be phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, to be able to bring this all together and not waste any money and not lose any money, as Councilor Montoya said.
Right.
Maria, that sounds great. We need to know the scope of work, the money, the timeline, so that everyone understands. I didn't understand that at the beginning of this meeting.
And Maria, can you be one of the people that helps run this meeting?
You know, I will be glad to do whatever I can, but you know, the guy that I would toss to is going to be Danny, and I'll toss to Beth as well, because I'm actually only getting involved in this in the last couple months, so I still have a lot to learn as well, but I will be glad to help any way I can. Okay, I don't know how much more time everybody has, but you know, if we can dedicate some time, Beth can go over some of those things, like what the definition of the funding was for, what this project, the basics of this project, and if we want to do that today, or we just want to wait until the next meeting.
Let's wait.
Yeah, we're an hour and a half in.
Beth, can you come to our November 10th meeting?
Yes, ma'am, I'll be there.
10 a.m.
Michael, we'll plan a good agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll also send it to other people. That's why I wanted Maria and Danny and Beth. We can just send out the agenda so that they understand it, and then we'll send it to everybody.
And John, can you post your address for Main Street also, please, in the chat?
It's actually Michael. It's just my legal name is John, but yeah, I can.
Oh, then I've talked to you.
John Michael.
When did you get legal?
I don't know why I did that today. It's, you know, it's not. I just posted.
It's all the people that don't know.
I just want to thank you, Beth, for putting us together on this meeting, and I think they've done an awesome job. I would prefer that the project manager be in charge of our next meeting, because they're the ones that all this is going to go through anyway.
The project manager should be there, I think, but not necessarily in charge. We need somebody that can facilitate it well, but we need the project manager there for sure.
Can I ask who the project manager is?
On our side, it's me.
I'd like to suggest somebody like Eduardo Martinez from Main Street, who doesn't have, shall we say, a dog in the fight, and is an extraordinary facilitator.
Yeah, he would be great. He's actually like the co-director of Main Street in New Mexico.
Well, Beth doesn't have a dog in the fight either. There to help us.
Really?
I'll
They're
talk to Eduardo and see if he's available.
the project itself.
Great.
How much more neutral can you get?
Okay.
I think we're all very excited to have some much needed changes in this historic district of Las Vegas. So thank you everyone for your time today. And I'm looking forward to positive changes for our community.
Thank you as well, Sergio and John and everybody else who showed up. The one thing that I'd like for us to keep in mind is that, we all want to do what's best for the city of Las Vegas, for the community, and we all do maybe see things differently, but our goal is to improve now and to be able to set it up to improve in the future so that Las Vegas continues to be the beautiful community that it is.
I think this has been a great meeting.
So November 10th?
November 10th.
Maria, you should run for office.
John, are you going to send are you going to send any invites out or?
Yes, I'll send invites out. I'll work on the agenda, and 2 weeks before at least, you'll get a copy of the agenda just so that we can talk about it, and then we'll send it out to everybody to get input on it.
Sounds good.
So, and yeah, we won't be serving
Thank you,
food.
everyone.
We won't be serving food. But
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Andy. Look at Andy's smile.
Y'all enjoy the rest
Thank
of your
you,
day.
Alan.
I'm looking forward
Thanks,
to
guys.
the next meeting.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.